My guest today is someone whose quiet strength and fierce dedication have made a profound impact on families across our region. Louise Hayes is the founder of CQ Healthy Families, which is a not for profit dedicated to preventing domestic and family violence through education, advocacy, and community engagement. Her vision is to create safer homes and stronger communities across central Queensland. Louise also serves, though, in many other ways. She serves our community. So the two that come to mind when I was thinking about Louise as a guest is the volunteer work that she does with the Zonta Club of Rockhampton, contributing to a global mission to empower women and girls through service and advocacy. And Louise's role as a local coordinator for the Love Bites program helps deliver respectful relationships education to Year 10 students throughout Rockhampton and on the Capricorn Coast, planting seeds of empathy, respect, and awareness where they're needed most. Louise's work is all about breaking cycles, building strength, and holding space for positive change. And I'm absolutely honoured to welcome her to this podcast. Thank you so much for being here today, Louise.
Thanks. That was a pretty impressive intro. I think that's it. We're done. Good
It's
job. Thanks,
absolutely
Nyree.
well deserved.
No
Absolutely
need for
well
the
deserved.
no need for the interview now. You've wrapped it up.
Oh, there sure is a need for the interview. You're an incredible person, and we want to hear a little bit more about you. But before we get really stuck into it, I want to ask you if you could instantly become an expert in any obscure topic, what would it be?
I, I was thinking about this and I was like, would it be prepping for podcast interviews? No. Look, there was a couple of things when I had to think about this. And other than prepping for podcast interviews, it's the stuff that you think of later.
Yeah.
Like when you ask to talk about a topic, anything, whether it's, you know, obscure things or domestic violence or at parts of love bites or whatever, you think, oh, I should have said this or I should have said that. So that would be good if you became an expert in the after the fact stuff. But given that I'm also trying to renovate a house, I think it would be fabulous to be a expert on house renos, know how to do it all.
Oh, good luck with that. I do not envy you.
Uh, Work in progress.
Yes. Well, hopefully, I'm sure it'll be worth it one day when it's all finished and you can look back and relax and enjoy your space.
Yes,
Mm,
that's right. Make it your own.
yeah, that's it. So I'll get stuck into it. But given your amazing bio and the very inspirational work that you do around our community, I'm really curious to know from you, like, what sort of key moments, people, and or experiences that you've had in your life that have shaped who you are today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think obviously your family, like your mother, your father, grandparents, siblings, but I don't think I can really pinpoint any one person in particular. I think that I've been very lucky to be surrounded by so many different people um, that I think it's really good to have the ability to be reflective of all of those chance meetings or how they are in your life and what you take from those. That you sort of reflect on those meetings or those experiences and what take forward something of those from that sort of help shape you. They talk about your environment.
Mm,
So um, I think it's been a very exciting life. I think even childhood, moving around and just having different positions, different jobs in Rockhampton, different work groups. Um, I think it's just been a whole lot of lots of people,
mm.
getting out there and meeting people and not being afraid to put yourself out there and meet people. I think that's you can take something from all of that. I
Absolutely
think.
agree. And it's almost like every step on the journey, it doesn't have to be a big bang impact and go, wow, I'm different because of that, experience or that person. It can be, yeah, exactly what you said, a little bit of everything along the way. Yeah, I
Mm,
love.
taking the time to be reflective about that though.
Mm,
And it might not even be straight away. It could be years later.
mm,
You something might come up and you'll think about someone that you met and you went, oh, you know what? I remember that conversation, or I remember that, the way that person made me feel, or, what little nuggets of gold that they gave you. So, yeah, being able to be reflective, that kind of stuff, and use it
yeah,
somewhere down the track.
I love it. So rather than just, yeah, coasting on through, you actually take stock of what it is that you've gone through. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Hmm.
amazing. So your the work that you do with CQ Healthy Families and Love Bites and Zonta, and there's probably a million other things that you're involved with. Pockets of people around the Rocky and Capricorn Coast community who you help in any way, shape, or form. So I'm curious to know what inspired your journey, and was there a particular turning point that led you to this current path that you're on?
There was definitely a turning point because I had never, like, other than from about 2007 on, never sort of worked in this industry, if we're talking about, where we're at now.
Mm,
Um, I was sort of at a turning point in regards to, had the three kids. They were all at school now. I was really active in the PNC at their primary school, but it was a thing now. Like, what do I do next? I'd been an office person prior to that, working in admin kind of roles. Um, but what was the next? Now that you'd had the kids, they're at school. What was next? So I was encouraged to sort of study. Like, what do you want to do? Because I guess I wanted to study because it was either go back to work or study. And I wanted to be the mum that dropped kids off and picked them up. I wanted to be able to do the readers, the swimming lessons, the Friday afternoon sports. I wanted to be that hands-on in the school. So the only way I could sort of do that was to study, because you could study around
mm,
parents and being, active in the school community. So um, I went out to uni to sort of speak to one of the, advisors out there, all hell bent on doing environmental science. I thought, that's a big thing, because we're talking almost 20 years ago,
mm.
probably was almost 20 years ago. And but they were talking about there was lots of field trips. So for a mum with three kids,
Oh,
that might not be your best choice. Hint, hint. You
mm,
know. So I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So they said, we're always looking for social workers, psychologists, and I thought, oh, psychology sounds interesting. Let me take that on while I have three children and working part time. No problem. Yeah, so I did a psych degree, and it was while I was doing that degree that I dropped into the then domestic and family violence funded service, or one of them, to ask some questions about something, because it was a concept that I'd never heard of,
mm,
even though we know that it was something that wasn't talked about when we were kids, or we probably, wouldn't have known what it looked like. We might have just taken that on as the normal household.
mm,
um, I'd never really heard of this concept. So I went and spoke to some really interesting people, and just was so absorbed with this topic. And it wasn't long after one of the ladies from there rang and just said, "Hey, we loved meeting you. You were so you know, able to have a conversation, really, you know, um, easy to talk to. We got a position. Would you consider having, coming and working for us part time?" Um, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be great."
mm,
So that's kind of where it all started. It was, having what was the next step in my life, that the kids were at school. How was I going to earn some money? And that's what it was. I met these fabulous women at it was then the Rockhampton Women's Health Centre, had some DV funding. And I went to work for them part-time while I was finishing my degree and ended up then with a full-time role there in the Domestic and Family Violence Court Assistance Service. So the rest is history. That
Yeah.
was kind of, yeah, having those amazing women down there who have since retired, but there's lots of other amazing women down there now. Yeah, I just found that little niche and I loved it. I loved the fast pace of the court system.
Hmm.
And while it was confronting, and sometimes when you're new in there, that talking to perpetrators, not just the people experiencing DV, but the perpetrators of DV as well, was quite confronting to start with. But yeah, it was very much a learning journey and one that I'm really glad to have been part of now and hoping to share that moving forward.
Yeah,
So,
it's amazing. It's almost like, yeah, I'm like your environmental science journey, but the field trips and the parenthood and that bit of a shift into psychology. It's almost like I feel like the CQU have given a gift to the Rocky region because they led you down that path, and then that led you to uh, go and visit the Family and Domestic Violence Centre, and now the work that you do in this sector as a volunteer and also as a paid employee is just incredible. Yeah.
I think having said that, Nori, I think it's almost touching on that point that um, it is a very small niche. There are not a lot of people who um, have the confidence to talk about it. I'm not talking about just the knowledge. Like
Mm,
there's one thing to have some sort of knowledge about it, but to have those conversations or start those conversations, because domestic and family violence is a tough topic. And a lot of the times, people say, "What do you do?" And you say, "Oh, I work in domestic and family violence." Oh, next question. It's very,
yes.
yeah. So I think that's one thing as well that have loved about this journey, that it's given me the confidence to do that, because we need more conversations about it. We need more people talking about it and making it okay to
Mm.
talk about.
And creating those safe spaces for people to either to get help, whether they are the victim or the perpetrator. Mm.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Mm. No, well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's it would be a very challenging role, but one I'm really grateful that you're in.
Thanks.
Thinking about like the work that you do in Rocky and the Capricorn Coast, how do you think living in this community has shaped your story, and what does that community contribution that you do, particularly as a volunteer, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think because I grew up here myself, I've raised a family here. I guess I want to start at home.
Mm,
I want to make it. I want us to have a safe community. I want us to um, have safer homes. Um, yeah, I don't know. Um, that's all I can say really, is that you've got to start somewhere, right?
yeah, that's
Um,
right. Mm,
start here in our backyard. While I know there's a bigger picture, but you've still got to start somewhere. So,
mm,
um, and one person can start that conversation. I mean, not, and by no means am I one person. There are some amazing people in our community working on the same efforts, and but being part of that, even if we just break it down to that DV community within our community,
mm,
being part of that, and especially here in my town, then yeah, of course I want to make it safer because everyone is going to know somebody
mhm,
who's impacted by DV. And it's very ironic that over the years, then just having neighbors that have been impacted and have um, it literally is ironic, but having that confidence to go, not that I would expect anyone and everyone to do that, but having the confidence to go next door and just go, hey, what's going on? You guys all right? Like,
Mm.
um, interrupting
That is,
stuff or
yeah,
even,
very tough. Mm.
yeah. So it is really important because we have an amazing, I've been all around Australia and we just have such an amazing bit of everything, when we're not too city, we're not too country, we're not too beachy, we're just the right blend of a bit of everything, and not too far away from each other. So it's worth putting the effort in, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And I am a massive fan of starting in your own community. And
Mm,
one of my favorite sayings that comes to mind when you shared that was, we all sit around and think, why doesn't somebody do something about that? And then we remember we are somebody. We can
mm,
do something about that. And it just takes one positive step in the right direction to build a movement, whether it's highly visible or it's, quietly happening behind the scenes, particularly in the DV space. It's not the kind of thing that you want to shout from the rooftops about all of the work, but the amount of preventative work that's happening in our community, as well as the response efforts. Speaking about the preventative work, I invite you to give a little bit of a plug about the Love Bites program and what it actually is, because there might be some people listening who may not even know what that is that we're helping our year 10 students with.
mm. So yeah, I've been delivering, well, first and foremost, I guess Love Bites is a respectful relationship education program. The format that we deliver here in CQ in our like Rockhampton, Yeppoon, Mount Morgan schools is just the senior part of the program. So aimed at kids 15 to 17, students between 15 and 17. Um, I've been delivering it for about 8 or 9 years now locally. I was very lucky to be part of the first lot of people trained in Rockhampton. I think we started off with, we had about 4 schools on board originally. I mean, obviously there was none, but we got a few schools on board originally, and we've grown that to, I think we have about 10 schools on board now. So
Mm,
every year, it's fabulous to have the support of those schools because um, they know that it's needed,
mm,
So what we do is deliver it in a 1 day format. Um, we'll cover, and we aim to do the year 10s. We've had a bit of feedback that maybe we should be doing it for year 9s, getting it a little bit earlier.
mm,
But maybe that transition will happen. But at the moment, we're delivering to the year 10s in a 1 day format at the high schools. And it's fabulously received, and uh, it's it's getting a lot more support now. It's something that's been happening for quite some years now, quietly in the background.
mm,
And I think we were lucky that we had Vicky Dredge, who was in the DB role in QPS in Gladstone, was trying to coordinate the whole Gladstone Rocky area, including Tannum, Boyne.
mm,
So it just got larger than life. And I was lucky in my previous role that it had a big part of community education built into it. So I was able to coordinate and deliver that in that role.
mm,
But then when I left there, it's not something that is easy to take over from
mm,
because you have so many connections, not just work wise, but personal wise, and the connections in the schools, that it's going to be a big role, someone, to take over from. So I am trying to train someone else to do that, to give me a little bit of a free up to do other things. But at the moment, so Seeker Healthy Families is doing that as a volunteer. It's not a paid funded program
mhm,
to coordinate with the schools. We're lucky we have contacts in the schools as well, so we get the calendar out early and get them to lock their dates in as soon as they can. But yeah, we've grown it to about 10, sometimes more, when other schools can fit it into their curriculum because they have so much to fit in as well. But we're finding that schools just really support the value of the program, the messages, um, and
And the
healthy,
way it's
respectful
delivered.
relationships.
Mm.
Sorry.
The way
What
it's
was
delivered as well. It's quite an interactive format.
Yeah, yeah, with the sessions, yeah, that we're trying to empower them, build a safe space for them to have those conversations, give them the starter topics, and then let conversations grow from that and sort of guide them. Is that okay? Is that not okay? What do you think? And it is trying to set up that there's no right or wrong answers, just what do you think? And um, challenge then maybe some of those beliefs that might not be so healthy. um yeah, sort of getting them to this. Sometimes they're things that you never even think about. You might have subconscious beliefs, but until you really unpack something, you go, oh,
Mm-hmm.
actually you're right. I did think that, but that's not okay, that's not healthy. So it's every class that I've done is sort of, there's the commonalities, but there's also um something different each time comes up. And I'm really happy and proud that we generally we have some advances, in every class that we do. Someone might come forward and say, I've had a young man once who came up. He was really, really distressed and said, I do all of those things. I do those things in my relationship. I tell my girlfriend who she can talk to, that she shouldn't have that person in their phone, that she should hang out with me all the time. Or I question where he goes, that's not okay. And
Mm.
I was just like, mate, you are amazing. Share this, share you,
Absolutely.
to have
Yeah.
that courage and that insight to say, oh heavens, I didn't even reflect on what I was doing could
Mm.
be controlling.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would have to be one of my really, really fabulous outcomes from that. But there's outcomes every time we go, so I love it.
And if we think about that one young man and what his life now looks like forever because of a program delivered by volunteers, um,
Gives you
that's
goosebumps, hey?
incredible. Oh, it does. It really does. And
Mm.
that's the only one that, I mean, there's more, but that's the most prominent one that comes to your mind. And you think about 10 schools, the number of students in every class, over all of the years that you've been doing this, 8 to 9 years, that preventative effort with respectful relationships is like massive. Mm.
Yeah, and that was just one young fella that had the courage to come forward. I
Mm.
often think about how many question their own relationships, um,
Or what they
or
see at home.
yeah, yeah, and I think that is another really important aspect of the program that we have. Rockhampton is a multicultural society. We have a lot of people whose first language is in English,
Mm.
so we're also reaching those children at school that can go home and challenge different beliefs.
Mhm.
Challenge or let them know that in Queensland, in Australia, in Queensland, that's not okay.
Mhm.
I know that there's that blurry line of their religious or cultural beliefs, but it's law.
Mhm.
So, those kids being able to go home and share that with their parents who may not have access to that information is really important as well.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And yeah, I would love as many people as possible to know about the Love Bites program and the incredible work that it delivers or the outcomes it delivers. So thank you so much for taking that on. And I do hope that the person you're training is able to lighten the load a little bit for you because it is a big gig. I have seen what you do in that space. So thank you.
And looking forward to coming along.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited to have the training on how to deliver it and then to be a trainee facilitator. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's good.
So just thinking about your perspective on life, the world in general, have you had any really significant challenges or amazing moments or really meaningful lessons that have influenced your perspective over the years?
I think like we talked about before, when I first sort of came into this industry, I had two ladies who were mentors that had been in the game for a long time. And the wisdom that they shared, I almost want to be that person. I want to be that person as I'm going out, that it's almost like handing over the baton, to someone else. Those two ladies were just amazing. And I'm so glad that I had got to work with them, but also that I took on board that their feedback, it wasn't criticism, it was feedback of what I was doing well and what I could do better, that I didn't take that personally, and that I went, again, being reflective, right? um you're right, that actually would make my role easier, or, oh yeah, I didn't see it from that side, you're right. um I think those two ladies were just, we were meant to meet. They
Mm,
were such a big part of, and it really did feel like it was handing over the baton, the new people coming through. I think they really did have a huge influence on my perspective of this sector, um, in that respect. I just, yeah, it wouldn't have been the same without it. I
mm,
think um, when we talk about proud moments or challenges, I mean, we talked before about the challenge of um, DB being a taboo topic, and how we need to make that forefront and get more people comfortable talking about it. While I do respect people's privacy, they talk about that it's very private. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the boundaries. I think domestic and family violence should be everyone's business. We should all be aware of what it looks like and how to report it, how to get help. But I think proudest moments would have to be that I have the whether they might think it's a burden, but I have three of the most kindest, charitable children. They've they don't fall far from the tree, and each in their own way are very empathetic, and would give you the shirt off their backs. But I
mm,
think, and in that comes a challenge of trying to say to them, set healthier boundaries than I did. You know, I know you and I were having a conversation once, and you said you can't multitask.
mm.
I remember the day you said that, and I was like, hell, I can. I multitask all the time. But it was like, yeah, I should probably be setting some boundaries, like for. So I think while I'm really proud of the three contributing in their communities, that the three of them are, all three of them have been to Love Bites,
Mm,
helped me deliver Love Bites. Um,
amazing. Mm,
but challenge for them is, teaching them to set boundaries better than I did, I think.
mm.
So yes,
Good lesson
lots.
to learn. Yes.
Yeah,
And yeah, the
100%.
multitasking, you can have 50 million different things happening at once, but only focus on one thing at a time.
And when you have the attention span of a nit of like me, that is not okay. You have to have several jobs going,
Mm,
and slowly whittle them down.
mm.
Anyway.
Yes. Oh, well, no, I love it. That's amazing. And yes, I've only met your daughter, who's a beautiful musician, and you just in her eyes, you can tell she's a beautiful person and she's got a big heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud that they're very outspoken as well. A lot different to me in that respect. I mean, I think at their age, um, I was very, very your norm. Get married, have kids, have a house. But I struggled with that. That's not what I wanted. And I look at those three, and they're very happy to speak out about things that I would be like, oh, don't say that, you'll upset somebody, So I think, yeah, it is, they're inspirational to me now, that can be something that I'm glad that has been encouraged. Very proud of them.
I love that for you. That's amazing. Mm. If you could think about everything that's led you to who you are today and what drives you, what sort of advice or legacy would you like to share with the next generation who come after us?
Well, I guess that's a good segue from my kids to this, but you said something before about being somebody, but I thought that's right. You don't have to be someone
Mm-hmm.
to be someone,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why I'm always really humbled or put or set back. I don't know what it is, but I go, what? When someone says, that you inspired me, even if it was because I'm a fitness freak or got to get out there and do a run or a walk or something every day. Even when people say to me, oh, you inspired me to get off the lounge today. And I'm like, what? Because I got up and went for a walk. Like, I think I think I am just someone. I'm not someone. I'm just someone that lives in my community. And if you don't share your learnings or your knowledge, then it's not going to move forward. What's the point of having that if you can't share it? And I say that in the most modest way. I'm not saying I know everything about something, but what I do know, I want to share because I know that it can help other people. And we've already talked about it. One person
Mm-hmm.
um, can start something. They can make a difference. I'm extremely, extremely fortunate that we have such a lot of other passionate people in our community in the DV space, but
Mm-hmm.
also, I mean, just the guys that work on the committee with me and my CQ Healthy Families team,
Mm-hmm.
they they just support me beyond like you would not believe. And every day they're like, Lou, you do so much. I'm like, yeah, but we're doing it together. You guys have got my back. Like it's we celebrate the wins together. Even though they go, you did that, but I'm like, yeah, but it's our little thing.
Yeah.
Um, I
And it's
think
so
it's
important to have that support network. Mm.
yeah, just telling them that they celebrate the wins together, encouraging others, that one person can make a difference. Find your courage in something,
Mm-hmm.
because if I can come from this little town girl, here who didn't even finish grade 12, did a psychology degree later, and then running a little charity that we help, we're having a huge impact on people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
um, Anyone can, right?
Absolutely agree. And if we all stop thinking, or if we all start thinking, maybe, when we sit around, catch ourselves say, oh, I wish someone would do something about that. Remember, you are someone. Everyone is
Yeah,
someone. Everyone has the
yeah.
power to do something to make a positive change in our community. And there are so many people that are, and they're doing it quietly.
I think it's also important too that it's like we tell as counselors, we say to people, if you don't click with your counselor, it's okay to move on and find another counselor. You want to be getting something out of it. But I think the same with as life, you have to find your people. You think about, I'll be 56 this year, Nyree, and I think about all the people that I have evolved, come in and out of my life, that you find the people that help you celebrate the wins. They support you and you support them. You're happy to support them. Um, Happy for others when they succeed, but the people that are happy for you when you succeed too, I think that's really important to um, keep you going, you
Mm.
know?
Absolutely
Yes.
agree. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on here today. I don't think you need any special skills on podcast prepping. I love that, this is conversational and you just share what you share. And I'm really, really thankful for your time. So thank you so much for being here today.
I was just surprised again and to be asked, so I appreciate that. Thanks, Nori. Lovely to chat.
Yes, no, and you are the work that you do, and you as a person, you are incredibly inspiring to me. And I'm very, very grateful that you are here. So thank you.
Thank you.